right, I've got Nat on the line. He's another musician that reached out to me about the interview series going on, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the opportunity to introduce himself.
How's it going? My name is Nat Pierce. I'm a musician from around Boston, Massachusetts. Just moved to LA to make some music, play some drums, do some recording, and meet a lot of people and have some good times playing music. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you want to go deeper, go ahead.
Um, well, I'm primarily jazz drummer. It's been in my family forever. And I started with like prog rock stuff because my dad's a musician and he got me into that kind of stuff. I kind of skipped over classic rock stuff. So I got right into the more technical stuff. And then I just started getting into jazz when I went to Berkeley. And yeah, I mean, then I started writing my own stuff. And I've kind of been obsessed with that ever since then.
Okay, so you kind of went into some of the detail that I usually start questioning about how you first got into music. When I assume it was when you're younger, you kind of mentioned that was the case. How did you decide that the pathway you were going to take was going to be drums?
Well, I started playing drums when I was really little, and it always just seemed really natural to me. And it was just like the other instruments were really difficult and I just couldn't really do them. Like guitar hurt my hands and like I couldn't really play any chords or anything, but the drums just kind of came natural to me and I started taking lessons and it just took off from there. And I just loved practicing and like being on my, being by myself and playing along with records. And it's just like it's just a personal kind of like, I just like to sit in a room and just like work out stuff, in my head and have my own little space. And it's always been, that's always been my happy place. So.
Sure. And would you say that you're kind of like more of a visceral player where you kind of just play along to, what you're playing to? Or would you say you're kind of more technically minded where you're constantly kind of working out the patterns and going through like the rhythm and like that type of angle?
I would say that I'm definitely more of a technically minded player. And like, I'm always trying to figure out new patterns and new ways of playing patterns and new ways of coming at music and new ways of making existing styles more interesting. And that's always what entertained me. Like when I was practicing is just figuring out interesting ways of playing and like interesting ways that people haven't done yet. So that's always been like a driving force for me. It's just like the being interested in new concepts.
Cool.
I find that really fun.
You mentioned that you did take private lessons. Were you also part of the regular school curriculum, like concert band or marching band?
Yeah. So I was always in school band. I kind of look back and kind of wish I did chorus or something instead because I didn't really learn anything in school band. I was always interested in my own stuff and my own music that I liked and like learning the stuff that I was interested in. If I did chorus, I would have learned, I would have gotten some ear training.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have learned like how chords are supposed to sound, like how scales are supposed to sound early on. I didn't learn that until later on. But yeah, so I was part of the thing. I don't really like to think that I got much from it. But in school, I met people who I like formed bands with, and that was really what I got out of school is just like having a couple friends that were into music.
Okay, and that was actually going to be the question I was going to lead into. Was essentially, at what point did you decide that you were skillful enough with percussion that you wanted to move into playing with other people and start actually creating your own stuff?
Um, well, I think earlier on I practiced so much and tried a couple different projects out, but they didn't really work out because we just didn't have the we just didn't know how to do a band, and we didn't understand like the steps you have to take to actually start playing. So we would waste a lot of time and just like try to learn covers and like never really um, get through them. But through that, I practiced a lot and I learned a lot of stuff. And then later on in high school, I was ready to start playing original music. And I got together with a friend, like two friends from high school, and we formed a hardcore punk trio. And the guitarist wrote all the songs, and it was just kind of like natural from then on. Because I had already played so much music, but I had never really been in a band that actually worked out. So
Hmm.
that was kind of like the taking off point for me, and that got me more and more inspired, and like got me playing more and more shows. And so it just like gave me some momentum.
Okay, and then at what point, and what were the circumstances surrounding your decision to eventually go to Boston?
So I don't know. I think my my uncle went to Berkeley, um, and my dad went to MI. So like going to music school was always like part of the family. And my instructor that I had during middle school and high school, he went to Berkeley and his dad taught at Berkeley. So like Berkeley was always this thing that was floating around, and people were always encouraging me to go. So, and I figured like, it was just kind of like, it was just kind of expected that I would go there. And then I went. So, but I got a lot out of it because I tried to learn as much as I could, and I met a lot of people, and I played a lot. So, and I did the engineering program and
Mhm.
learned a lot about that. So, yeah.
Okay, and then once you got out of school, you mentioned that you had moved to Los Angeles. What was your deciding factors to make that change?
So, when I first got out of school, I had a studio back home and worked there for a few years and made a lot of music there and had a lot of good times, and started making my own stuff. And that kind of just making my own stuff and learning about that and like how to do it, and what kind of music I actually want to make, that kind of brought me to a place where I thought I would, I was like, okay, maybe I can go to LA and like make something happen. So I'm here now. I just moved here maybe like 3 months ago. Um, and I have some friends out here. My friend from high school is out here, and my friend from back home who lived 5 minutes away from me, she came out here with me, and like we're just having a super good time. And I think that uh, I'm just gonna try to do my original music out here,
Okay.
and yeah, just kind of taking the plunge. Like it's kind of um, it's kind of a crazy thing to just like go for it, with your original music, but I'm going to try to do it. So,
Sure, definitely, and good on you for making that commitment. So along those lines, I assume that you're not looking for positions with like other bands or anything. You're solely focused on developing your own music.
well, I think I am interested in playing with other people. Um, I would like to find a band or like, some musicians who are doing some interesting stuff, or just like writing good songs. Because I think a lot of bands I've found on Craigslist or like on online, they're not, they're more like cover bands. or just making music that I'm not really interested in.
Hmm.
So, but at home, I'm kind of like sitting and composing a lot and figuring out ideas. And like that is kind of, it's kind of showing me the way forward.
Hmm.
So I think I'm going to probably stick with that as my main focus, just because I think once I have a band and I start playing out, I'll meet a lot of people and, then I'll be able to work with more people and, probably, play with more people. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like, I'm just trying to stay focused. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do too many different things right away just because I don't want to get sidetracked or spread myself too thin. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So once you do kind of have this project together and you're working on it, what are the ambitions for? Where do you want to see yourself in 5 to 10 years, aside from, just growing the network of musicians that you have to play with?
I think I'd like to have a band that is kind of has a reputation for just having like a really great live show, like a unique live show. And I just want to have a unique angle and a unique perspective and like really original music. Um, and it's a very niche kind of thing, but I think it'll stand out. And I think that in 5 to 10 years, I just want to be playing really cool shows. I want to be playing like, you know, in museums, like temples, churches, like, and I want to play like in weird places, and I want to play, with visuals, like extra, stuff.
Hmm.
I just want to get creative with it, and like I'm thinking about, doing some film scoring or like some TV stuff,
Hmm.
like with my original music, because I think it would be interesting, and I think that there's a lot of potential for it. And you know, uh, but the basic catalyst is like the live show. I want it to be
Hmm.
really cool all the time. Like I want it to be like, okay, have you seen that band? They're really interesting, and it's a unique experience.
Sure, it definitely sounds like you're representing some very solid concepts there. Um, so, what are some of your absolute favorite memories from your time participating in music? Whether it was something that happened at school, or working with other musicians, or a concert you saw, just some prominent memories.
Sure. Well, the first memory that I thought was kind of exciting, that will always stick with me, was I played with my punk band at the school talent show in high school, and we weren't supposed to play. Uh, and we were supposed to. We had this other project that was kind of like a side project that was like more accessible music and like more like pop music. And everyone really liked it, and the teachers liked it, and everyone like respected it. And so we did that, and then out of nowhere, we played our punk band, like one song from our punk group, and it was really loud and really annoying, and no one liked it. Um, and the guitarist, his girlfriend cried, and like my girlfriend cried, and it was like ridiculous. And the guitar was feeding back really loud, and I like pushed over my drums at the end, and no one clapped.
Oh no.
So yeah, so because they were just like they had no idea what happened. Um, and then like my dad got in a huge argument with one of the teachers about it. So like on stage, so it was pretty awesome. Um, and yeah, so it was like an essence school talent show. Sabotage We were like sabotaged it, which was pretty cool, and
Nice.
it was like the last song of the show, so it was just a just an absurd kind of cool thing. So that inspired me because it was just like so crazy and out of the ordinary.
Nice.
And let me think. So, and then I'm trying to think of some other stuff that stuck with me. Um, I mean, just being at Berkeley and being able to work in the nice studios and like on like Neve consoles and like with nice gear, like with my friends, and you know, working on their music and just like being down there and just like being focused and just like working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, also being at my studio back home, like just you know, staying up all night, like drinking coffee all night, you know, and then like, you know, I would drive home and like hang out at my neighbor's place, and he would like, we would drink more coffee, you know, because my neighbor's a good friend of mine, and like we've always known each other and like always hung out. So but I would stay up all night at the studio, get to his place at 6 o'clock. He would be going to work around then, so we would just, you know, it'd be like the perfect time. And so, but that, you know, like certain things certain things that are just really just about, you know, being working on the stuff. I really like working on the stuff and like working with other people and just, you know, not doing drugs, not drinking, not fooling around, but just like sitting there and being like, all right, guys, let's do it. You know, let's work on the stuff. So I like that kind of stuff. So those are my best memories from music, you know, playing and just having a good time with other people.
Awesome. So, where can people take a listen to like the work that you're putting out there and follow you on social media?
So my band is called Law Years, and I have a Bandcamp, lawyears.bandcamp.com, and LAWYEARS. Um, and the Bandcamp is good because it has like, there's like artwork on there. There's like a nice, it's like set up all nice. So I'd recommend people go there. Also, I have a record with a CD that I am looking to promote when I get my band together, but it's on Bandcamp if people want to check it out. And yeah, so my website is lawyears.net, and that is more of just like a um, kind of the homepage for the project, and it has some videos. Oh, also I'm on YouTube too, so if you look up Law Years on YouTube. But if you go to my site, all the videos are on there. So lawyears.net. Uh, and I have like visual stuff that I posted on Instagram, like silly Instagram stories that like I thought were cool. And like all my music is on there. And what else? My Instagram should be Nat Pierce, NATPEIRCE, with an underscore in between. Um, Also, I think you can look up Law Years on Instagram and it'll come up. So one of those two you could look up. And I just do the stories on there because I used to post, but like I'm kind of burnt out on that because I did it a lot. But I just do the stories. So if you want to watch my story, I post a lot of weird stuff. And I'm going to be I usually post my own music in that. So if you want to check out, you know, what I do and get like a constant stream of it, I have a bunch of songs that I post on my stories. But yeah, so check that stuff out. If you like it, that's awesome. And I appreciate you listening to it.
Excellent. So I always like to give the person I interview the opportunity to put out their last word. So basically, just a message that you feel you resonate with.
Sure. Well, I mean, my project has always been about like not listening to what people tell you and not believing in like what you're told by your family, society, school, you know, political system, like all these things are basically pretend things that make you upset. And we're locked into these systems because uh, no one ever questions them. So people just like watch the news and think that it's like the only reality that has ever existed. So, and it makes everyone extremely depressed and anxious, and like makes everyone miserable. Um, so my suggestion is people meditate and actually experience reality as it actually exists, and so they can have a good life and not feel miserable all the time. That's basically my message, and like that's the whole concept behind my music.